Welcome everybody, welcome back from our previous session. So today's session is all about answering some questions about different scenarios that people find themselves in and how we can maybe provide some help and advice on how to access some help and support as carers. If we can all just have a quick round the table, introduce ourselves, and then we can get cracking with some questions. So first of all, I'm Vicky. I'm the Health and Wellbeing Link Worker for Carnforth ICC. Lucy?
Hi, I'm Lucy Ellis. I'm a parent carer to 3 children with additional needs. I also provide advice and support to all of the parent carers of children with additional needs across the Lancaster and Morecambe district.
Thank you. Colin?
Hi, my name is Colin Bowman. I'm Participation and Engagement Officer with the Lancashire Carers Service.
Thank you. Emma?
Hello, my name's Emma Paul. I'm the Development Lead for Carnforth Integrated Care Community.
Anne?
I'm Anne Oliver and I'm the Community Engagement Manager for Age UK Lancashire.
Thank you, Anne. And Hayley?
Hi, my name's Hayley Wanica. I'm the Team Manager for Lancashire Young Carers Service with Barnardo's.
Thank you. So we're going to start with Lucy first. We're going to go to help and support with regards to parent carers who have difficulties with young children. So with the first one is, my daughter is 4 and has behavioural problems, but has not been diagnosed with anything at the moment. She provides additional care because of the difficulties that the child has navigating life day to day. But because she's her mum, the question is, it's her responsibility anyway to look after her daughter. So is she really a carer, and what can be done for her to help?
Okay, so basically, yes, she is classed as a parent carer, even though you're already looking after your child. When your child has additional needs, you do provide the extra emotional and physical support to your child. So you are classed as a parent carer. All parents are carers of their children, but when you are a parent carer of a child with additional needs, that opens up to all sorts of doors for support and advice that you might be able to get for you and your family. And it's really important that you do that. If you feel you need that support, you don't need a diagnosis of anything to access support. That's really important. At nursery, at school, or in the wider community, you do not need a diagnosis. And I'm really passionate about that, because if your child needs some support, that's what they should be getting. There's lots of different places that you can get support from. So if your child is at nursery, then you can approach nursery or your childminder, and they should be able to put you in touch with people that can provide that support. Or you can self-refer to Children and Family Wellbeing Service if you need that support for you and your family. And that's a simple phone call, and you can talk to people over the phone about what sort of support you think you need. Or what usually happens is you speak to a GP or a paediatrician, and they usually put you in touch with me, and I'll be able to direct you to various bits and pieces of support that's available. But the highlight of that is there is support out there. Do not feel like you are on your own. I've been there myself, and I know how isolating it can be. So it's really important that you do reach out for that help. And you've made the first step by talking to somebody about it already. So well done.
Thanks, Lucy. And it actually leads us nicely into the second question, which is around people with children who don't have a diagnosis, who are not sure whether they can claim disability living allowance for them because of that. So if you could maybe expand on that a little bit more, that'd be great.
Okay, yeah, of course. Disability living allowance, or DLA, is a non-assessed benefit. So it doesn't matter if you're in full-time employment or not employed at all. You can still claim it. So I think the biggest thing about DLA is being able to evidence what sort of support and care your child needs. So if you are providing daytime and nighttime support for your child, and they may be accessing some other services, or they might be on a pathway to getting a diagnosis of some sort, then you might be eligible for DLA, Disability Living Allowance. And I think it's really important to recognise that if you are providing extra support for your child that you might not typically do, whether you know it or not, if it's your first child, you might not know whether the level of support you're putting in is normal, or whether it's something that all parents have to do. So I think it's all about looking at actually what support you put in place and what support other people put in place. I always recommend to parents to start keeping a diary of what support you're actually providing. So if you weren't there and someone else was looking after your child, would they know that they have to eat off a red plate, or that you have to put their socks on a specific way, or you have to make sure that they leave the house first in front of their brother, otherwise you're going to have an almighty kick-off on your hands. It's all of those little bits of things that we take for granted in our daily lives, that you might be having to do above and beyond other children that you would typically do. So if in any doubt, speak to someone, get some advice. Citizens Advice Bureau can offer that support, or you could ask me, you could ring me or contact me via my website that will be shared, so that you can find that information for yourselves as well. But yes, the short answer is yes, you can apply for that benefit. What's the worst that can happen? They can just say no.
No. And I think the worst thing about that is that people don't realise it's those little things that take up all that time. So, you know, when you don't have a child with additional needs, the things like being there while they're wiping themselves in the toilet, they might be able to do that, but they might not be able to do that without you stood there watching them. And you have to be there for 10 minutes, or you may have to clean up, or you may have to remind them and prompt them to wash the hands. And it's all of those additional minutes on top of your day that you wouldn't do with a typical child, that takes up that time. So yeah, I think that's really important. Thank you. And let me see if we've got any other. Oh, so the other one was around parent carers accessing support for themselves. So things like any support groups in the area, or any just kind of groups locally that may be able to help with their mental health and offload.
Yes, there is the short answer. I offer a virtual meeting once a week and an evening for parents to access via Zoom. So parents can drop in and drop out between 6:30 and 8:30 and talk to other parents that might be going through same or similar situations. Also, there's chats, the mental health support group, which is for parents of children with mental health and emotional problems. So parents can access that, and they're offering at the moment virtual sessions on anxiety, and I think they're planning one on school attendance difficulties as well. That's run by parents too. And that's connected with CAMS, the local child and adolescent mental health service. So they're supported by 2 workers from there as well. There's lots of support out there. That's not the only 2. There's Unique Kids that are running in Morecambe. They're providing face-to-face opportunities to support families as well. So many that are happening at the moment. Again, all the information is on my website, and that link will be, I'm hoping, on the bottom somewhere on when this video is shared.
Yeah, definitely. It's worth noting Unique Kids is amazing. And I haven't obviously said, but I'm a parent carer and we use Unique Kids. And actually just today, unexpectedly got a knock at the door, and they've just delivered a wreath making kit for George.
Oh, how lovely.
Oh, thank you. They're just amazing. They're amazing what they do. And it's probably worth noting as well, Lucy, that you do SEND drop-ins, don't you? Special education needs drop-ins at certain schools as well. And I remember going to one of them before I even realised I was a parent carer, and I'm sat there thinking, this is me, I do this. So yeah, that's great. So we will be putting on everything about your website afterwards. Is there anything else that you think is kind of prudent to highlight just before you ping off? And
I think it's important to tell your GP that you're a parent carer. So you are recognised as a parent carer by your, and that you access the support for yourself as and when you need it. That's incredibly important. Mental health support and physical support, Being a parent carer is a really tough job, and it's really it's really important that you recognise that and that you reach out for help when you need it. Being a carer is a really tough job, and it can create a lot of isolation and loneliness. So I think it's really important that if you feel you need some help, don't just sit back and think, well, there's other people worse off than me. I think it's really important that you reach out at an early point to get yourself that support, because you can't support anybody else unless you support yourself first.
Yeah, and also with your groups and information, we can't possibly cover all of the support groups that there are, but it's diagnosis or behaviour specific. So you can branch off, can't you, and find the ones that are more niche to you. So it is worth having a look on the website, which is North Lancs Directions Group, but we will be posting it afterwards. So thank you, Lucy. I really appreciate you coming. Thanks, you. You can be on your way now if you need to go.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Right.
And
so,
I'd say, Vicky, as well, that it's so important, I think, for parent carers to meet other parents, because everybody thinks, oh, I can cope and I should be able to cope. And actually, I'm a parent, carer as well of an older child with autism, and I think it's actually meeting other people and finding out how they've coped in specific situations, and little hints and tips and strategies. And I got some of the best strategies from other parents who'd been through it. So please do, don't do it in isolation.
It's so true. And sorry, Colin, it's great having those professionals on board who can help guide you, and medically and clinically, it's great, but you will not beat the advice from people who live it and breathe it every single day, and truly understand what it means to live with a child with additional needs. It is really important to meet up with other parent carers, and to actually, when you realise you are a parent carer, that's when things start to change, because then you see everything that's available to people, and the support that's available, and it doesn't change the situation, but it makes life a hell of a lot easier to deal with sometimes. So yeah. Does anyone else have anything to add about parent care? Sorry, Colin, you were going to say something.
Yeah, no, just a couple of things really. One of the things, when I just reminded me of the support aspect for parent carers. So again, one of the things that we'll sort of maybe go on to is the carers community network, and one of the sections within that is for parent carers to meet obviously other carers from across the county. And I know that we have quite a sort of an active sort of discussion on there. So if you are sort of identified as a parent carer and you want sort of to access the carers community network, then just register with us as a carer, and then we can obviously give you access to it. So that was the first one, is the online support through the Carers Community Network. The second one is just reminding me of the Lancashire Parent Carer Forum. So obviously we work in very much partnership with the Lancashire Parent Carer Forum to give parent carers a voice, and so they hold a weekly Zoom drop-in session on a Thursday from 1 till 2:30, and again, that's attended by parent carers. So if you are looking to obviously access peer-to-peer support, then I know that the Lancashire parent carers do sort of facilitate that, and I think their ultimate aim is to give a voice to parent carers, and I think that one of the things that I've noticed is engaging with parent carers is often they just want to be heard. They just want somebody to recognise the difficulties that they're facing, so I do know that the parent carer, the Lancashire Parent Carer Forum, is an opportunity to voice some of those things, and then for them to sort of you know, represent parent carers from a Lancashire footprint at a more senior sort of level.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as well, a lot of the difficulty in locating these parent carers is because a lot of the time the children don't always display in school.
Yeah.
There's obviously plenty of children who do, and that's great, and they will get the support because it's identified and recognised in other settings. But for those children who, what they call mask in school, or have anxiety, and so are very timid in school, or, you know, if school don't recognise that, or nursery don't recognise that, or college or whatever, it's a lot harder to then access support because it remains then on you as a parent to almost evidence that behaviour and that difficulty. And so it does draw out the process, and it makes it a lot harder on the parent to get that support. So I think for parent carers to be aware that there is still a way of accessing support and getting diagnosis, or even not getting a diagnosis, because it's not always required to get the support, and there are a lot of schools that will put stuff in place without a diagnosis, but it just to identify that is a struggle, but there are people there that can help with those struggles.
The parent carers, just to maybe consider our service as well if they have other children who perhaps have a caring role for the child with additional needs, or because that might be missed sometimes, and it might just be another avenue of support for the family. You know, because a young carer for us is a young person under the age of 18 who is providing that support and ongoing care for a family member. So it could well be a sibling. Yeah. So if they've got that caring role, it might be worth giving us a call, getting in contact, just to see if there's anything we can do there as well. And it is just another avenue where, of course, we would do what I've mentioned for the other cases you put forward. Then we would, you know, look at the whole family again and see if there's anything that we can point and direct to. And so it's just another avenue there, I guess.
Yeah. No, that's fabulous. Thank you. The other thing that I just wanted to highlight was I don't know if people are aware, but it was for people listening to this as well, is the orange button scheme. Has anybody heard of that? Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of make people aware, because it's something I'm relatively new to and now have my orange button. But essentially it's a symbol that people can identify with that are maybe having mental health difficulties, or who are having suicidal thoughts or struggling with mental health problems. And if you see a person wearing one of these badges, or if you see somebody in a car, because there's car stickers that have them as well, that they are a safe person to approach. And I think it's important to highlight that there are people out there at the moment, you know, that are constantly being trained in this as well, in having a conversation with people who are struggling. So if you see these people out and about and they have one of these buttons, they are a safe person to talk to about how you're feeling, and have been given some training in how to help and support.